School sucks, doesn't it? You walk into your classroom and let's say you're excited to learn about physics. Now you look at your textbooks and whoa, that's a huge textbook. Wait, there's 2? There's 3? 8? Okay, that's a bit to handle. Well, maybe the teacher is probably not that bad, you might think. Alright, let's check on you 1 week later and oh my god, you're already sleeping already. Yeah, I don't think anyone wants that to happen. Something needs to be changed about this. Wait, what if we just make the content more digestible? The current method of teaching can be described as a bit traditional. The way it works is the teacher usually do the talking and the students are passive listeners in their classroom, and they usually do actions such as taking notes. While some students are fine with this, others not quite. Since there's not much interaction in the classroom, students who aren't necessarily interested in the topic or strong in certain aspect will either lose track of progress or maybe just simply give up and fall asleep. I mean, that's kinda bad, right? Microlearning, on the other hand though, cuts the content into a lot of small chunks, and even the time period per lesson is shortened into a few minutes. For example, in the case of physics, instead of teaching all 3 laws of motion, maybe the teacher would just teach the 2nd law of motion. Now for the remaining time, students would do different activities such as taking interactive quizzes to further understand the small amount of content being taught, making the things they learn a bit more memorable in a sense. And yeah, just 10 minutes of lessons and most will already feel like they learn more things than traditional classes. Nah, I feel like you're exaggerating the entire thing. Well, that could be true if it isn't for this. In 2018, a study was conducted to test the difference between traditional learning and microlearning. Basically, there are 2 groups of 7th grade students being taught ICT by microlearning and traditional learning respectively. While the microlearning group was taught with posters and activities, the traditional learning group used methods that sounded quite traditional. In the end, an exam will be given out to find out the difference in scores. And what's the result? Well, the chart is right here. Don't know what's going on? Don't worry, I'll walk you through. While the average passing rate for traditional learning is around 64%, on the other hand, 82% of the students in the microlearning group passed the exam. 80%! That is significant! Even better news, not only nobody failed the exam, but half of the students also performed excellently by microlearning. Meanwhile, traditional learning is not that great. Also, less excellent students were created. Okay, that sounds a bit more convincing, but never really heard people use that in real life. Well, to be fair, microlearning isn't extremely popular, but this school in Melbourne, Australia says otherwise. At the time, due to COVID-19, most of their lessons need to be taught inside their own students' own home. Unlike any other school where it's just normal lesson in Zoom, the school actually made a lot of virtual learning courses that help students learn at their own pace. Well, I mean, this school is literally one of the top primary schools in Melbourne. I don't see their methods being seen as not convincing. So what does all of these mean? Well, the main thing about microlearning is that it tries to make the classroom more enjoyable for students to learn in, allowing them to concentrate easier in their lessons, thus improving their grades in the end. But it doesn't mean that microlearning can completely replace the entire educational system, but more of a step towards it. Looking back to this research paper right here, surveys were given out to students to see what way of teaching helped them to focus better, and it turns out most agree that playing in activities and watching videos helped them the most. But are these necessarily have to be done in microlearning instead of just being standalone? And furthermore, what about complex content that requires more than a few minutes to explain? That is up to debate. But despite all of these, microlearning is still a great teaching method for students. It definitely is something teachers should work towards it, but they should also keep in mind of their own individual situation whether microlearning is actually appropriate. Like maybe some courses need more than 10 minutes, and some courses require a bit more guidance from the teachers. And that is almost everything you need to know about microlearning. Thanks for watching.